Lyra dusted off the ancient scroll, her heart pounding with excitement. The worn parchment, hidden amongst dusty tomes in a forgotten corner of the grand gnomish library, depicted a sprawling city carved from shimmering opal, its spires reaching for the sun. Legends whispered of the lost city of Ethel, a repository of arcane knowledge lost to the ages. An insatiable curiosity flickered within Lyra, her nimble fingers tracing the faded map. This wasn't just another dusty manuscript, it was a call to adventure, one she couldn't ignore. Grokk, her goblin companion, perked up at her exclamation. His yellow eyes narrowed in suspicion as he studied the map. "And what, exactly, would you be wanting with this city, Missy Gnome?" he growled, a wry twist to his lips. "Besides saying you've been there, I mean?" Lyra smiled back at the gruff warrior. "Why, Grokk," she said, "I've been meaning to ask you the same thing. You've traveled far and wide, seen more battles than most goblins could ever hope for. What draws you to adventure, if not the glory or treasure?" Grokk snorted. "Glory? Treasure? Bah! I fight because it's all I know, all I am. And," he added with a sly grin, "it pays the bills." He paused, considering the map. "But I'll admit, the chance to uncover something truly new, that's an offer I can't refuse." His eyes gleamed with anticipation. "So, gnome friend, what do you propose we do?" Lyra's grin grew wider. "We go find this city, of course. Together, we can unravel its secrets and bring back knowledge that could change the world." She held out her hand, her voice low and determined. "Will you join me, Grokk? Will you help me rediscover the forgotten?" Grokk took her hand in his own, his grip firm. "Well, Missy Gnome, it's not often I find myself agreeing with a gnome, but I reckon we've got an adventure ahead of us. Let's go find this city of yours." He clapped her on the back, causing her to stumble slightly. "Just don't expect me to be any good at reading those scrolls you're always going on about." Together, Lyra and Grokk made their preparations. They stocked up on rations, sharpened their swords, and made sure their gear was in order. As they left the city, Lyra paused at the entrance to think about the ancient scroll that had started it all one last time. "Here's to new discoveries," she whispered, "and to the courage it takes to seek them out." The forest surrounding the city loomed before them, dark and ominous. Lyra glanced at Grokk, taking in his battle-scarred form and the grin that never quite left his lips. "So, Grokk," she said, trying to sound casual, "what's the first riddle we should expect to face?" Grokk snorted. "Riddles? What are you, some kind of elf?" "We're goblins, Missy Gnome. We fight with our swords and our wits, not by asking stupid questions." He spat on the ground for emphasis. "No, I'd wager our first challenge will be finding a way through the trees. The forest is said to be guarded by ancient spirits, and they won't let just anyone pass." The trees seemed to loom closer, their branches reaching out like grasping hands. Lyra swallowed hard, feeling a shiver run down her spine. Do you really think they'll try to stop us?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Grokk shrugged. "Maybe, maybe not. But we'll find out soon enough. You ready to face them, gnome friend?" Lyra nodded, summoning her courage. "As ready as I'll ever be." Together, they stepped forward into the darkness of the forest, swords at the ready. The air grew colder, heavier, as if the very atmosphere was pressing down on them. Lyra could feel the eyes of the trees upon her, watching her every move. Suddenly, a low growl echoed through the trees. Startled, Lyra spun around, her sword raised defensively. "What was that?" she whispered to Grokk. The goblin grinned, his yellow eyes gleaming in the dim light. "That, Missy Gnome, was the guardian of this forest. And it's just asked us the first question." He stepped forward, his voice loud and defiant. What is the sound of 1,000 trees falling, but not with a single tree falling? There was a long silence, and then the growl came again, deeper this time. Lyra glanced at Grokk, uncertain. He just smiled back at her, his expression confident. Don't worry, Missy Gnome. I've got this. With a mighty roar, Grokk charged forward, his sword held high. The answer, my friend, is silence, he bellowed. As he spoke, the trees parted, revealing a narrow path leading deeper into the forest. Grokk turned to Lyra, a satisfied smile on his face. See, gnome friend? No need for riddles when you've got Grokk to guide you. And with that, they continued their journey, leaving the whispers of the ancient forest behind them. Hours passed, and the pair had navigated a labyrinth of paths, their swords at the ready for any other guardians that might challenge them. The sun began to set, casting long shadows through the trees, and Lyra couldn't help but feel a sense of unease creeping up her spine. Grokk, she said quietly, do you think we'll make it through before dark? The goblin shrugged. Maybe, maybe not. But don't worry, Missy Gnome. Grokk's got a trick or two up his sleeve for finding our way. He paused, his eyes narrowing. Wait a minute, is that a light up ahead? As they drew closer, they could see a faint glow flickering through the trees. It grew brighter as they approached, revealing a small clearing surrounded by torches. In the center of the clearing stood a towering figure, its features obscured by shadow. As they approached, the figure stepped forward, its voice booming through the forest. Who disturbs the peace of my realm? It demanded. Lyra swallowed hard, her heart racing. We are Lyra and Grokk, she said, trying to sound brave. We mean no harm. We seek only to pass through your forest. The figure's shoulders slumped, and a sigh escaped its lips. Ah, travelers! I feared as much. You see, this forest is not just any woodland. It is a place of power, a nexus between the mortal realm and the world of spirits. Many have come before you, seeking knowledge or treasure, and all have fallen prey to its guardians. The figure gestured to Grokk. And yet you bring with you a goblin. A creature known for its cunning and its unique perspective. Grokk grinned. Well, old-timer, I reckon that makes us a match made in the other world. So, what's your name, and what do you propose we do? The figure chuckled. My name? Why, I am the guardian of the forest, of course. And as for what you should do... The figure stepped aside, revealing a small, worn path leading deeper into the woods. Follow this path. It will lead you to the heart of the forest, where you shall find what you seek. Lyra and Grokk exchanged glances. And what is it that we seek? Lyra asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The guardian smiled. That, dear travelers, is for you to find out. But be warned, the answers you seek are not always what they seem. The forest is a place of power, and those who are not prepared may find themselves lost, or worse. They nodded, thanking the guardian as they set off down the path. The trees closed ranks behind them, shutting out the light of the torches and plunging them back into darkness. After a few moments, Lyra reached out and took Grokk's hand, feeling her way through the shadows. Hours passed, and the pair stumbled upon a small clearing, surrounded by a circle of standing stones. In the center of the circle lay a strange, glowing crystal. As they approached, they could feel a strange energy emanating from it, tickling the hairs on the back of their necks. Well, gnome, Grokk said with a grin. It seems we've found what the guardian was talking about. He reached out to touch the crystal, but Lyra grabbed his wrist. Wait, Grokk, she whispered. What if this is a test? What if we're not supposed to take it? The goblin considered this for a moment. You know, you might be right, Missy Gnome. Let's think about this for a moment. Maybe we should ask someone else what they know about this crystal. He paused, tapping his chin thoughtfully. You know, there's a wise old owl who lives in a hollow tree just down the path. We could ask him. Lyra nodded, relieved. Yes, that's a good idea. We can ask the wise old owl. They continued down the path, the goblin leading the way, until they found the hollow tree. The owl perched on a branch, its wise yellow eyes watching them approach. Greetings, travelers, the owl croaked. I sense you have found the heart of the forest. What brings you here, and what do you seek? Lyra and Grokk explained their encounter with the guardian and their discovery of the glowing crystal in the clearing. As they spoke, the old owl listened intently, its head cocking from side to side. Ah, yes, the owl said once they had finished. The crystal you found is indeed a powerful artifact, one that grants the bearer great knowledge and understanding. However, it also carries a curse. Those who use it for selfish gain or to further their own ambitions will find only misery and ruin. The choice, my young friends, is yours. Lyra and Grokk exchanged glances. What should we do, O wise one? Lyra asked. The old owl considered this for a moment before responding. The forest has chosen you, Lyra and Grokk, to bear this burden. It is up to you to decide how to use your newfound power. You must weigh the knowledge you gain against the consequences of your actions. In the end, the fate of the forest and all who dwell within it rests upon your shoulders. With these words, the old owl spread its wings and took flight, disappearing into the darkness of the forest. Lyra and Grokk stood there for a moment, pondering the owl's words. They returned to the clearing and finally, Lyra reached out and took the glowing crystal, feeling its power coursing through her veins. Grokk, she said, I think we should use this to help others, to share our knowledge and understanding with those who might need it. What do you think? Grokk smiled at her, his eyes shining in the darkness. Well, Missy Gnome, I reckon that sounds like a mighty fine idea to me. Together, I believe we can make all the difference in the world. And with that they set off once more, leaving the heart of the forest behind them, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The days that followed were filled with adventure and discovery as they traveled through the forest, using their newfound knowledge to help those in need. They met creatures great and small, sharing stories, songs, and wisdom. Word spread quickly of their kindness and generosity, and soon they had earned the trust and respect of all who dwelt within the forest. One day, they came across a group of young animals who were arguing over a particularly juicy piece of fruit. Lyra and Grokk stopped to observe them, exchanging knowing glances. Well, Grokk, Lyra said with a sigh, I think it's time we taught them about sharing. Together, they led the animals to a clearing where they sat down in a circle. Lyra held up the glowing crystal, its light casting a warm glow across their faces. My friends, she began, we have been given a great gift by the forest, and with it comes the responsibility to share our knowledge and understanding with one another. The piece of fruit that you argued over earlier is not important. What is important is the friendship and trust that we share. As Lyra spoke, Grokk picked up the melody on his flute, creating a song that stirred the hearts of all who listened. Tears welled up in the eyes of the young animals as they understood the wisdom of Lyra and Grokk's words. When the song ended, they all shared the fruit, laughing and playing together once more. From that day forward, Lyra and Grokk continued their journey through the forest, using the power of the crystal not for personal gain, but to bring harmony and understanding to all who lived within its bounds. Their legacy lived on for generations, a testament to the power of wisdom and compassion. As they grew older, Lyra and Grokk became revered figures in the forest, sought after for their advice and guidance. They founded a small sanctuary deep within the heart of the forest, where they could share their knowledge with those who sought it. Young animals and creatures from all walks of life would come to them, eager to learn and grow under their watchful eyes. One spring day, as they sat beneath the ancient oak tree that overlooked their sanctuary, an elderly badger approached them, his fur tinged with gray. He knelt before them, bowing his head respectfully. "O great ones," he began, "I have come to ask your counsel. Our part of the village has been plagued by a great drought, and our crops are failing. We fear that we may soon starve." Lyra and Grokk exchanged knowing glances. "Bring us to your part of the village," Lyra said gently, "and we shall see what we can do." Together they set off through the forest, the badger leading them to his village on the banks of a once babbling brook. The ground was dry and cracked, and the normally vibrant foliage was wilted and brown. The animals they passed along the way looked exhausted and desperate. Upon reaching the village, Lyra and Grokk surveyed the scene, taking in the desolation that had once been a thriving community. They sat down together beneath a withered tree, its branches scratching at the sky, and pondered the problem. After some time, Lyra held up the glowing crystal, its light casting a warm glow over their faces. "Grokk," she said, "I believe that the answer lies within the crystal. But I must ask you to trust me, for this path may be dangerous." Grokk nodded solemnly. "I trust you, my friend," he said. "Tell me what you propose." Lyra took a deep breath and began to speak. "We must travel to the center of the forest, where the great tree of life stands. It is said that the tree holds within its roots the key to life itself. If we can extract its essence and bring it back here, the land may be revived." The badger leader looked hopeful, but also concerned. "That sounds dangerous, my lady. The forest guardians are strict, and they do not allow outsiders to approach the tree." Lyra placed a reassuring hand on the badger's shoulder. "Do not worry, old friend. We will go as your emissaries. We will show them the suffering of your people, and ask for their help and guidance. If they deem us worthy, they will aid us." The two friends, accompanied by the anxious badger, set off into the depths of the forest. As they walked, they could feel the air growing cooler and more damp. The trees grew taller and more massive, their trunks thick as towers. The forest floor was carpeted with soft, spongy moss that cushioned their steps. After several hours of walking, they came upon a clearing where a massive tree stood, its trunk as wide as a small house. A circle of stone chairs surrounded the base of the tree, each one carved with the likeness of an animal that Lyra and Grokk had seen throughout their journey. A group of animals, each wearing intricately woven robes of leaves and bark, sat in the chairs, their eyes locked on the approaching travelers. Lyra and Grokk stopped before the circle, bowing their heads respectfully. "We come as friends," Lyra began, "bearing the suffering of another. We seek the wisdom of the guardians, for our people are in need. Will you hear our plea?" One of the animals, an ancient stag with antlers that curved like the branches of the great tree, rose to his feet. "You have come a long way," he said, his voice deep and resonant. "You have proven yourselves worthy of our attention. Speak your tale, and we shall listen." Lyra and Grokk took turns describing the desolation of the forest, the suffering of the animals, and their journey to the tree of life. The guardians listened intently, their expressions somber and grave. When Lyra finished, she held up the glowing crystal, its light casting an ethereal glow upon the gathering. The stag nodded thoughtfully. "Your plight is indeed dire," he said. "But the path you seek is fraught with danger. The tree of life guards itself fiercely, and only those of pure heart and unwavering determination may approach it." Lyra and Grokk exchanged glances, their determination unwavering. The stag continued, "If you are willing to undertake this perilous journey, we shall aid you. We shall imbue you with the strength and wisdom you shall need to succeed." He then turned to the other guardians, who began to chant in a language ancient and arcane. A warm, pulsating light emanated from the great tree, washing over Lyra and Grokk. They felt a surge of energy course through their veins, and their senses sharpened. The guardians finished their chant, and the stag spoke again. The essence of the tree now flows within you. You are its emissaries. Go forth, and restore life to your land. With those words, the guardians bowed their heads in respect, and the two friends, now empowered by the spirit of the great tree, set off once more toward the village. The forest around them seemed to come alive as they walked, the air growing cooler and more humid. The trees swayed gently in the breeze, their leaves rustling like the whispers of ancient secrets. They could feel the earth beneath their feet thrumming with energy, and they knew that they were on the right path. As they approached the village, they saw signs of life returning. The forest floor was littered with fresh leaves and new shoots pushing their way through the soil. Birds sang in the treetops, and the air was thick with the scent of flowers. Lyra's heart swelled with hope as they finally crested a hill and saw their village below, the once empty clearing now teeming with life. The great tree stood at the center of the village, its branches swaying gently in the breeze. Grokk led Lyra to the base of the tree, where they knelt in the damp earth. Together, they buried the crystal deep within the soil, feeling a sense of closure as they did so. "It is done," Grokk said, wiping a tear from his eye. "Our journey is over." Lyra nodded, her gaze fixed on the tree. "Yes," she said, "but a new journey begins now. We must share what we have learned with our people. We must help them rebuild and create a new future." Together, they rose to their feet and turned to face the villagers, who had gathered around them. Lyra took a deep breath and began to speak, her voice steady and strong. She told them of their journey to the Tree of Life, of the lessons they had learned and the power they had gained. She spoke of the need for unity and cooperation, of the importance of respecting and protecting the balance of nature. As she spoke, Grokk stood beside her, his eyes shining with determination. The villagers listened intently, their faces reflecting a mix of awe and hope. When Lyra finished, there was a moment of silence, followed by a murmur of agreement that spread like ripples on a pond. "From this day forward," Lyra continued, "we will rebuild our village and our lives. We will work together to create a better future, guided by the wisdom of the tree and the strength we have within ourselves." With that, the villagers cheered, their voices echoing through the newly restored forest. Lyra and Grokk smiled at each other, knowing that they had played their part in bringing about this change, and that their journey had not been in vain. They walked hand in hand among their people, sharing in the joy and hope that was beginning to spread like wildfire throughout the land. As the first rays of sunlight pierced through the canopy above, casting long shadows across the village green, the villagers set to work, using the resources of the forest to rebuild their homes and lives. They constructed new huts from fallen timber, and wove baskets from the supple branches of willow trees. They cleared paths through the undergrowth and tended to their gardens, planting seeds that had been saved from the years of famine. Lyra and Grokk watched their people with pride, marveling at their resilience and strength. They knew that the journey ahead would not be easy, but they also knew that they were now equipped with the wisdom and the power to face whatever challenges lay before them. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, the village began to take shape again. The great tree at its center stood as a testament to their shared determination and their unwavering faith in the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. And as Lyra and Grokk gazed up at its towering form, they knew that their story was far from over, that their lives were now intertwined with the fate of this place and its people. But for now, they were content to simply bask in the warmth of the sun and the love of their community, secure in the knowledge that they had played a part in creating something truly wonderful and enduring. Together, they would shape the destiny of their village, and in doing so, they would create a legacy that would echo through the ages. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please subscribe to stay updated with our latest stories, give us a like if you want to see more, and drop a comment below to let us know your thoughts.